we're looking at communities that offer us wellness activities and wellness activities that will nurture us from head to toe.
Tips from Trestle is brought to you by E-Menu Choice Point of Sale and Clark Food Service Equipment. Welcome to Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality Podcast. This podcast explores the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and the community experience. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. My goal for this podcast: educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living. How? By bringing the resident and customer experience to the front of mind in our industry. We should bring the passionate spirit of food and hospitality to everything that we do and everyone we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. Today on Tips from Trestle, I'm talking to Nancy Rhodes. Nancy is a non-commercial business solution specialist at Gordon Food Service based in Atlanta. With her expertise as a registered dietitian, Nancy plays a crucial role in providing food and beverage solutions to the non-commercial sector. She's a part of the team at Gordon Food Service in their Southeast and Florida division, which serves as a key distribution center for the company. Nancy's professional background in nutrition and dietetics, combined with her experience in the food service industry, positions her as a valuable resource for clients seeking innovative and health-conscious food solutions. Her work involves developing strategies to meet the unique dietary needs and preferences of various non-commercial establishments. Nancy, thanks for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thank you for inviting me, Aaron. And I see we both got the blue purple ammo for the podcast.
I know, right? I appreciate that. So we're here at the Georgia Senior Living Conference, Georgia Senior Living Association Conference. And when I was looking over trying to find guests to interview, I saw your presentation of food at the root of wellness. And I was like, I have to talk to Nancy. And so let's start with this. How did this presentation even come about? Because based on what you were telling me before we started recording, there's a backstory here.
There is a backstory. And I was so excited when I got the email from GSLA that my proposal was accepted to speak on this topic, food at the root of wellness.
Yeah.
And how this topic evolved, a couple of reasons. First and foremost, us baby boomers, as we look at where we want to spend the next chapter of our lives, we're looking at communities that offer us wellness activities and wellness activities that will nurture us from head to toe.
Yeah.
So working with Gordon Food Service, we have customers and clients that come to us and say, Gordon Food Service, tell me what you can bring to my community to offer activities embracing wellness that we can offer, because that's what prospective customers and family members are asking for.
Yeah.
So it made us think about within our portfolio, what type of activities that we could offer from both a food and non-food standpoint to support their wellness initiatives.
Yeah. And this concept of wellness, it's not anything new, I think, to those of us that have been in the industry for a long time. But I think as far as like the public understanding the concepts of wellness. And so that's something in your presentation you talk about, is the kind of setting the stage for what wellness is. And so tell us a little bit about how wellness, the concept of wellness, has evolved recently and why you and your clients are starting to see it as a strategy for success.
Wellness, you're right. It's not a new concept, but we're embracing it more. And we're understanding that wellness has really 6 dimensions that encompass us from head to toe. Not only our mind, our soul, our bodies, but we also look at occupational wellness. Are we happy at work?
Yeah.
We look at social wellness, and social wellness really took a hit during the COVID pandemic. And we realized how important social wellness is to our everyday lives. And especially when we're in a community and we don't have the opportunity to interact, as we saw with COVID. So we look at intellectual wellness. How can I have continuous learning throughout my lifespan? So as we embrace wellness, it's no longer what I eat and do I exercise, but we look at the different dimensions of wellness that perhaps we haven't always embraced or thought about.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought up the interaction, the social piece of it, because we all know that one of the huge advantages to being in a senior living community is that increased social connectedness. And obviously the dining room is where that happens the most. So I feel like that's a very big deal for us to talk about. And so in thinking about the presentation that you gave yesterday, can you share some examples from that of how operators are incorporating wellness into what they're doing? Maybe some of the customers you're working with, what they're doing?
Absolutely. And the session that I present is always interactive. I learn from those in the audience too of activities that they're already providing within their communities. But we talk about some of the activities that embrace those different dimensions. Let me give you an example. Charcuterie is big right now. So have we thought about doing a charcuterie party where each resident looks at the spread of items that they can put together on their own charcuterie board and perhaps have that with a nice beverage in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And cheesecake decorating is always a popular activity. And think about vendors that provide these products. They're glad to come in, showcase their item, but then each resident can get that little slice of cheesecake and all the accoutrements to decorate. We have a little contest and then we have a little cheesecake in the afternoon. Yeah.
No, that's great. When I did my beverage presentation, that was one of the things I talked about was getting your vendors involved. So that way it's effective and it's a little bit easier on the community too. They're not doing the heavy lifting.
Absolutely. And we talked about yesterday using your resources within the area. Here in the Atlanta area, there's dietetic internship programs. There's culinary at technical colleges. Tap those resources to help come in and help do your presentation, whether it's a showcase cooking or a nutrition education lecture, because those students get credit. And again, are an added resource that doesn't tax already the staff that you have.
Yeah, no, I love all that. I really believe that there's so much more opportunity in our communities for engagement with food and being more creative. It's not just 3 meals a day and move along, or just take them to bingo and make sure you have cookies there. So when you think about specifically the food and the dining departments and how more engaged they can be in wellness in general, what role do you see our departments having in maybe leading some wellness initiatives, being that driver of that, and how can they maximize their impact on wellness?
Great question. We talked about yesterday 4 value propositions that a strong wellness program can be. And one of those is your employer. Your employers that have a wellness initiative that reward associates for wellness activities, that brings value and it brings employer satisfaction when the associates know my company is going to reward me for value-added activities. So you think about from an employer standpoint, that is important. When you drill down the community and look at wellness activities, I challenge managers and directors to say, who on your team is involved in the wellness program? Because they will bring great activities to you. Talk to family members.
Yeah.
Ask at the resident council meeting. Ask at your community meeting, your team member meeting. What ideas do you have for a wellness activity? Whether it's something around food and the diversity that we have in our communities, or a fun activity that we'd all like to learn, like painting. What can we do to offer an activity for continuous learning that the community will embrace? So ask the question and get folks involved.
Technology continues to drive changes in senior care, and that includes food service. eMenu Choice is an award-winning point-of-service application for managing the dining function in senior living communities. This mobile, touchscreen-enabled software enhances the dining experience for residents while streamlining processes for staff. The flexibility and functionality of eMenu Choice makes it an effective solution for any type of senior living environment, from independent and assisted living to skilled nursing facilities. It works for production kitchens or restaurant-style service with options for per meal or a la carte pricing, and accommodates a variety of payments, including bill to account, meal credits, and credit cards. Created by a senior care provider with more than a century of experience serving older adults, eMenu Choice eliminates communication barriers between staff and residents while enabling person-centered choices and greater resident satisfaction. eMenu Choice, transforming dining for senior living.
I do love that. I think that with so many team members that we frontline with wellness and food service and housekeeping, there's a diversity of ideas and backgrounds to be able to pull so many new things from. And so what you're saying makes perfect sense. And I think operators can definitely take advantage of that.
One of the questions I always ask when I'm doing the presentation, I ask the audience, I say, tell me about a memory that you have of food. And some of the examples just yesterday in the presentation, a director raised her hand and she said that Sunday dinner at 1:00 after we go to church.
Mhm.
And it wasn't what we had for dinner, but it was the camaraderie, the relationship, the social aspect.
Yeah.
Another manager said, baking those apple pies with my grandma.
Yep.
Those type of activities, if you ask residents in your community, they'll share some of those memorable moments. And then that's how you can embrace that and bring it back as a wellness activity.
Yeah. Engaging in those stories. That's amazing. I mean, we talk about storytelling. I hear people talk about storytelling all the time, and it's such an easy way to connect. And like you said, bring those programs to life. And so, we've been talking about all the amazing things that can happen when you really try to drive a wellness program. Clearly, we know there are challenges that come with that. And so can you share some of the potential challenges an organization might face when they're trying to do more nutrition-focused wellness, or maybe just wellness in general?
The top challenge has to be air and labor. I always feel like I need a moment of silence, when we talk about labor, but everyone has staffing challenges. And then you say, okay, now you want me to do added activities. Where am I going to get the labor to do showcase cooking? Where am I going to get the labor to do the cheesecake decorating? Where am I going to get the labor to offer an Italian theme night? So again, we talk about what resources do you have available in the community?
Yep.
And also, are there resources if you're in a chain organization that within that geographic location that could come in and help? And you can invite family members from those locations also.
Yeah.
So look outside of your own community to the valuable resources you have. Again, dietetic education programs, technical schools that might be available. Also restaurants. Those chefs love to come in and do showcase cooking. And many of them now have a mobile food cart or perhaps a food truck or a mobile kitchen that they can come and you can do your fall picnic. Call the varsity.
Yeah.
They'll come and help you out for a fall picnic. Look at what resources you have available.
Yeah, I think that's so true. And I love the way you're framing it as outside of the community. Where can you find help? Because I think a lot of times we get very I don't want to say sheltering in place, but we just really think about I've only, like you said, labor. I've only got 2 people doing this and 3 people doing that. And I don't have the extra time in the day, but there's so many opportunities to work with vendors and outside resources that want to be in the community selfishly to promote themselves, but also you get that added benefit for your residents. And so
it showcases those vendors in the community. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then call the local TV station to come and broadcast, because everybody then gets a little publicity. It's great free marketing for that restaurant. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. All right. So as we wrap up here, Nancy, tell me if you had like one big takeaway from your presentation, the feedback you got from it, what would be the thing that you would tell our listeners they should know about this concept of, food at the root of wellness?
The main takeaway I would tell our listeners is we all know we have to eat. And wellness is only going to continue to grow as not only a health initiative, but also an attractor for those of us looking for the next chapter of our lives. Embrace wellness, think outside of the box, and look at how you can promote wellness within your organizations and within your communities, because that will drive occupancy. And as we talked about labor being a challenge, if we get more folks coming to spend the next chapter of their lives in your community, you up your occupancy, that's going to help with your reimbursement. Embrace wellness, showcase what you can do, put a wellness calendar together. For 2025, we're almost there.
Yep.
Put a wellness calendar together, start the planning now, but involve all team members.
I love it. So Nancy, thanks so much. Tell our listeners how they can learn more about what Gordon Food Service does, how they can support their operations, and just connect with you in general.
Right. Gordon Food Service, top distribution company here in the United States. We have several distribution centers across the majority of the United States. And we offer not only food, but non-food items to support our healthcare, our education sectors, as well as our commercial sectors. So please, gfs.com, go ahead and view us online. Be glad to help you out.
Perfect. Thanks. Well, Nancy, this has been great. Thanks for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
So there it is, everybody. Another one in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Please follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at Tips from Trestle. You can also learn more about the work I do by following me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And be sure to check out Trestle Hospitality Concepts at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.